Right. Welcome, everybody. Please stand and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. Ready, begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right. Do we have anybody online, Rebecca? Okay, all right. At this time, members of the public may address the committee on any non-agendized item. Public is encouraged to work through staff to place items on the agenda for consideration. Comments are limited to 3 minutes per person. Would anybody in the room or online care to speak? Let's move on to the approval of minutes.
Approve the minutes. Make a motion to approve the minutes.
I'll second that. Great. Thank you, Rebecca.
Aye.
All in favor, say aye. Aye. All right, new business. Let's move on to the student scholarship program. Kelly?
Good afternoon. So I have reported on this before, and I think even in one of my reports, I read one of the essays. I didn't release the names at that time because the scholarship night hadn't happened yet. I think Calaveras was just last week or the week before, and then Bret Harte was the week before that. So, in the pack, we've done this program for several years. We give out 4 scholarships every year. For my entire time here, it's just been kind of an open-ended, the value of water, which I think is a great topic. One thing we noticed throughout the years, you'd really get a broad value of water, going more global and maybe what our bodies require to stay alive. And so this year we changed it a little bit more and try to get more specific as to, where your water comes from here locally and what it means to the community. So when I get these in, the first thing I do before I read them is some don't come in with names, or I just redact all the names because I don't want to know any of the names. I just want to read them. And that's what I did with this one as well. Had some help with some of the staff. And these are the 4 we chose. So they're in the packet. Hopefully you got a chance to read them. But
How many did you get total?
Good question. There was a lot from Calaveras. I would say total. I'd say 30 to 50.
Wow.
Yeah, it's a lot.
Wow.
There's a lot. It's great.
Whittled down to 4.
Yeah.
And did you just Calaveras, Bret Harte, and none from?
I didn't get any this year from Mountain Oaks, but I always, try to reach out to them as well. It seems like Calaveras and Bret Harte are really accustomed to it, and they're the ones who really seek, reach out to me specifically. So it's fun to read them. It's hard.
We have some really talented writers. I love the one that starts with the first snowflake falls.
Right. And and it was no different than I think I reported to you guys too about picking the students for our summer work program. It's so difficult just to pick 4.
And you could tell where they're from. One of them talked about Spicer Moore, and the other one talked about Copperopolis, and another one talked about Valley Springs.
Yeah, and that's the main thing I was looking for. And the other ones were wonderful essays, but I really wanted them to look into something local, look into where their water comes from, and I was hoping they really look into and tie that to what it means to their community. And so that was. If you guys have any ideas for next year, I think this is a good topic, but I'm open to any suggestions for next year as far as what to try to.
No, we should start calling this city water too. One of them did refer to it as city water a couple times versus well water.
Yeah.
The only thing I have to add to that regard is that I think it was yesterday, the federal rules were changed with regard to Pell Grants. They're now open to trade schools. So people at Calaveras that want to go there are eligible for the Pell Grants to go to trade school. And that may be in your discussions with people that come in on the apprentice program or intern program, just give them that knowledge.
And then, since it's only you two here, if Director Davison was here, I would like to read all 4 essays, but he's not here, so I won't read all 4.
If he reads all four, I'm leaving. I already read them.
Yeah.
No, I'm just,
I've read
I'm
them
just
too.
kidding.
It's fun. They're really outstanding. Thank you for including them in the packet and well done.
All right, thank you.
Okay, item 4B, our other Kelly, customer impact of the duplicate billing issue.
Good day, gentlemen. Just here to give a little report on the after action from our double billing. I have an item this week also going to the Finance Committee, which is a detailed package as to everything that occurred. We found out from our vendor that there was an issue mostly on their side where we were able to run on two different systems at the same time. We actually started the process of doing the bill. I'm going to forget the name. There's a specific name for the process. They started that process using one network connection, and then that connection froze up. And so our staff said, okay, well, obviously this isn't working. Let's open up the other channel. And they went ahead and did that. So part of the bill was run on one section. And then when they did the second one, it overrode the first one. So that's why some of the people got a second bill and other people did not. So we were very fortunate that Rancho Calaveras primarily did not get double billed. That would have been a really big lift.
Has
Customers.
Tyler
Yes,
taken
sir.
some responsibility for this?
I believe so, yes. They recognize that that should not have been able to happen. So they are taking steps to prevent that from happening again in the future, fortunately. Customer service staff was absolutely incredible, jumped right in, phones were ringing off the hook. They did a great job. And then we're working on our side. We're going to develop a plan, an action plan on how we deal with these things moving forward. Now that Monica's here, we can spend a little bit of time as she's learning the system, putting some steps in place for when things like this happen. We can be better prepared to do our outreach and all of the things. So
I think it was great to be proactive as we could be.
the main thing I wanted to make sure was trying to avoid people getting those double charges on their credit cards and bank accounts. So that weekend, we started reaching out, letting the next group of people know, hey, this could be coming down. We don't want you to get charged. So please change your auto pay date to a future date. And I think we were able to reach quite a few people. And then fortunately, too many days later, finally, they were able to resolve it. So our customers were wonderful, very understanding. And many people just said, just hold on to it for the next bill. And then there were some people, of course, who wanted to get refunds. So we accommodated everybody as they requested.
We're able to hold on for our next billing and the billings are automatically.
Yeah, we can do a credit for the next bill, and then they can stop their next auto payment from happening. So it'll actually, there won't be any balance there because they don't owe anything. So essentially the auto payment won't take place.
And is there anything else you feel we should do? Is there like a general apology letter that reviews it and
I mean, I think we could do something like that, specifically targeted to the people who were impacted, especially if their credit cards were charged. I think that's definitely something we could look at doing.
Or just more in the line of a thank you for being understanding. We
For sure.
we messed up.
fixed? We messed up. Yeah.
We appreciate their patience and helped us work through this process. So we learned a lot.
Well
All
handled.
right. Thank you, sir. Any questions?
No, we've heard a lot about it. Michael kept us updated, I think 2 or 3 emails through the process too. So it's understandable.
Perfect. Thank you.
Thank you.
Ellie, let's discuss workshop on potential billing charges and public input.
Right. So yeah, I mean, I was hoping for a full house here so we can do more of a workshop style, but what I meant when I wrote that staff report was just, I really want to get public input and feedback on this, if this is something we decided to move forward with, I want to hit the ground running early and find out what some of our customers and the community feel about potential monthly billing, or might be tax roll, or any other options, or separating the bills.
No, we're going to get some limited feedback here. I was also hoping for more people to be here, but then again, it is always the same people, and I think we've heard from some of them already about their likes and dislikes for the different programs.
You have one representative in the audience who is in
Yeah, no,
good
well, we
contact
have
with
not heard-
her larger community, and
We
be
have not
interesting to hear
heard from Roxanne.
what Roxanne has to say today on
Absolutely.
this issue. And yeah, please go ahead.
So I'll just kind of run through it really quick and then I have some
if could real
examples.
quick, Kelly, so, because one of the thoughts I think we talked about with this item was, understanding we may not have a lot of public here today to provide feedback, but kind of using this, get some feedback from the committee and from whoever is here on, this format. And then we can use this and, incorporate this in town hall meetings and other public presentations that we do where we would, get more input from folks.
This may be coming up, Kelly, but what, have we gone out with any kind of survey at all, or is that part of the plan?
I think a survey would be fantastic.
Yeah. Part of the plan, but that's one of the things we want to get some input on today.
And take
Yeah.
the input from the survey and. Okay,
No, I mean-
we'll get you up in a minute. We're
This is-
doing a slightly more informal than you've seen in the past for this issue, so.
Yeah, and that's my hope, is for some open dialogue during this particular topic, this agenda item. So that's what I'm definitely hoping.
That's why we called it a workshop instead of, you get a lot more than 3 minutes a day, and there could be discourse, conversation
Back and forth.
back and forth and that's what we were looking more for with the public for this particular agenda item on this particular meeting.
As well as
Yeah.
the follow-on item, but let's.
Right.
How
I
do
think
you
that's the point I'm trying to make is this won't be a one shot opportunity for people to provide input. We'll incorporate this. We just want to kind of, in some ways, it's almost like this is a trial of this format of this, the questions, survey material, things like that, get some input here, and then we'll improve it as we go seek more input from the public. But we know this isn't the one, not a lot of people are going to be here. This isn't just the
We're
one.
not going to make a decision today. This is
No.
the start of a larger long.
Start of the process, right?
So
How do you usually find out about agendas and what's on them? How do you usually find out about the committee, either agenda items specifically, with upcoming meetings? You know that there's two committee meetings every other month, and some of them are monthly. But you say you just found out about it a couple days ago. How do you usually get information about what's going to be on the agenda?
Can I pause for a minute? I mean, I would love to hear if she can just speak into the microphone. That way we capture it. If that's
Okay.
okay, you want to answer?
Just a quick question, and I'm sorry, we should let Kelly get on with a little bit
I
of the
just-
presentation.
Sorry, I didn't know about today's meeting until he told me last week after the meeting when we were talking. If I didn't know about it, then the room's not full because no one else, not
But
too
no,
many
I
other
heard you
people.
say that a second ago,
right?
but how do you usually find out about agenda items or agendas?
The website,
Are they sent to you by an email? Good. We have,
yeah, I'm set up for the email, but I did get an email about this, but the email came a few days before it, not enough notice. Like I came from another function jammed here from Lodi to be here. And, you know what I mean? Not enough notice. It didn't come out with enough notice for me to plan, but I made it.
okay, so
But if I known,
the email that comes out on Friday is the first, well, that's not the first. time.
I didn't see an email about this particular meeting until a couple days ago.
We're on the subject, who do those go to?
Anyway.
Do you sign up for?
Yeah, they go to everybody who's signed up for agenda messages on the website.
All right, go ahead, Kelly, sorry.
Yeah, and we don't control it. That is for folks who sign up. We can't even cancel them. It's they have to sign up for that. I mean, we can't even add an email address. It's one of those things where they have to sign up themselves. So every agenda item we blast out to that bulk list. So the presentation's really, really brief. I just want to make sure I'm going to show some different bills, what they look like currently, what they could look like in a monthly billing format. And so again, I think we covered this. The purpose of today is just really to gather public feedback and the committee's feedback. As I think we all know here, the current billing structure, we do combine water and sewer. We bill every 2 months, that covers the 2 services over a 2-month period. What I find, it feels like that seems to be a very, very confusing way of billing for folks. I really come in contact with a lot of people that will always say my water bill is $500+. And so that seems to be a common theme because that's just what it feels like. It feels like a single monthly bill for maybe one service like water. So this is, I think, some of the key questions here is it clear and easy to understand the billing? Does it support household budgeting? Is billing on a bi-monthly basis, good for folks who are on fixed incomes? Is that, putting an extra burden on folks' monthly budgets? I'm a customer as well, and I get a bi-monthly water bill, and sometimes that's a little tricky. I try to budget for it on the off month and have it there, but you have that influx every 2 months, and it could be challenging sometimes. So some of the things that we're just contemplating is, separating at least the water and sewer bills, maybe having a separate sewer bill, completely separating it so you can start to understand that sewer is a separate service. Adjusting the frequency, going from a bi-monthly to maybe one of the services being monthly, and also exploring other billing approaches, such as going on to the tax roll. That's another thing that's been talked about in several, I think, committee meetings and regular board meetings. But I want to jump into really just what some of the bills look like. So this is
Just to clarify the last slide, the only thing that's been discussed is sewer on the sewer bill on the.
Yeah.
The other one's a little bit harder to do.
Yes. And so this, I'm
I
going
mean,
to zoom.
legally, it's harder to do.
Yeah.
Statutorily.
So there's no way to show a full bill without it being kind of small print. I'll expand on it here in a second, but the bills you're going to see now, they're all based on the rates as effective July 16th, 2026. So this is going to be not the current rate, but the rate starting this next July 16th, just so you know. So these are all kind of in the future, so to speak. And they're all going to be based off of 1,500 cubic feet for a bi-monthly time period, which is kind of that usage we've used throughout several of our outreach topics. I think it comes out to be about 189 gallons per day, roughly. And then that 1,500 cubic feet is that higher tier 1. That's right before you would go into tier 2. So that is the amount we're using for these particular bills. So this bill here is a bi-monthly water and sewer bill. This is, a typical multiple service bill. And starting July 16th, based on that usage, you're going to have a bill of $539.21. Again, that's your water base rate of 184, your water consumption on that 1,500 cubic feet of 4230, and the sewer base rate as of July 16th of 312.68. So for a sewer bill, if we were to break apart the sewer bill and bill the sewer separately, you divide that bi-monthly in half, and there's no water on this particular bill, so your sewer bill just for that 1 month would be $156.34, to give it context. If we were to maintain the bi-monthly water bill, like this is, for instance, this is the type of bill that I normally see. I'm a water customer, and so with just bi-monthly and not sewer, you're looking at a bill of $226.53. If we were to do monthly water, that's what we'd be looking at for a monthly water bill with still a decent amount of usage. I mean, I think that 1,500 cubic feet, I very rarely hit that. The only time I've hit that usage is with some leaks. And so I think one thing right now, moving to a monthly water bill would still be a little bit difficult for us internally. I think there's still a lot of quality control that we need to do on a monthly basis with our field staff. And I think having them do that every month right now could be a little bit of a challenge. But, maybe in the future, this is, something we can move forward. I do think that at least separating the water.
Expound on that a little bit and the field staff, what's going on?
Well, for instance, during the snowstorms, there's a certain amount of reads that if we're not getting all the reads through Centrix, our field staff need to do quality control. They do quality control every billing cycle. If there's an anomaly, maybe a high read, maybe we didn't get the read, they will go out there and still physically read some of these meters. Each month it goes down. For instance, like I said, that snowstorm, there was quite a bit of reads that needed to get done during that event. And so I think going to a monthly at this point would still be a little bit taxing on staff.
On that subject, do we have a policy to override that in events where, just take, like, for example, take the average of every single month for that particular time when we can't when there's an anomaly and we can't get to the meter.
Well,
And we're still to get the bill out. And we could do an average for the entire year or an average for the previous 3 bills or something, and then a true up the next time.
that's,
I mean, as far as
So
that's the issue.
What we did in the past, because remember before we had AMI,
Right.
this was regular on the pass. You know, we wouldn't read meters for at least 1, maybe 2, maybe even 3 billing cycles. We just billed for the base rate and then trued up consumption. And then, but that's not perfect. There's problems with that. And so there were times where we would try to average based on previous usage. That takes a lot of work and it is problematic too. And so,
Wait, the true up takes a lot of work?
yeah, well, the averaging, because each customer is different. You
Or
you
not
look
average,
at their
I mean,
previous,
right, instead, make that easy, so it's not hard. If we could
Right.
figure out a way, get a policy to make that easy.
well, so for the most part though, with AMI meters, we shouldn't have to do that. That the
Right.
goal here is that we're not, that we're able to actually bill
For some reason.
for
we're
actual
still-
consumption every
have it.
billing cycle. But it's not just the past. That's no AMI system is 100%, accurate with reads every billing cycle. So we're always going to be sending field staff out to verify. And this may be a good time to kind of just talk about the steps of billing for consumption, of how you guys do the initial reads, how you then send field staff out to verify or to read where those meters, where those non-reads are.
yeah, and it's not necessarily that they're not accurate, but if there's, a higher read than normal, we want to double check that. We don't want to, we want to make sure the meter is functioning appropriately and not overcharging. And so that's that quality control that still has to happen. I think that'll always happen no matter what. I mean, there's always going to be a certain level of quality control with making sure these meters are.
So maybe just talk through that process though, real quick. Like where does it start and then how does it end? How does that collaboration with field staff work?
Sure. So what we do is we'll pull all the reads and then basically, if we don't get some of those reads, whether a repeater's down or, sometimes that signal does fluctuate. We noticed not too long ago, I'm not sure if you guys remember when it was foggy for days on end, I think some of the solar finally died and we did have a higher number of reads in some of the areas that needed to get read. And so, like right now, I believe Dylan's pulling those reads right now. And then, so any of those reads that we didn't get, or there's any issues, they'll send out to the field staff to go do manual reads. Not necessarily manual. Sometimes they just have to get in a certain area and they can pull in the reads on their device. Some still need to get read. You need to really pull the meter, pull the box, open it up and take a look and get that read. And then we can proceed with billing. That's why there's that kind of lag between pulling the initial reads, truing everything up, doing that quality control before we send out the bills. And I do think that'll always happen, and I think that's just doing our due diligence with making sure that the reads are appropriate.
Roxanne, do you have a point you wanted to make?
It's hard not to. I will ask a question.
But come to the microphone.
Yeah, I don't mind.
Maybe sit
We're gonna-
closer because we want to hear from you.
I'm taking advantage of this time. When I called CCWD back when my meter was changed from the analog to the meter we have now, I was told one of the reasons is the problems they were having was reading the meters and getting to the meters. So hearing you say they're still reading meters? Or is there people who are not on the smart meters that have to have their meters read? Because I'm confused about that part.
I mean, we're still reading meters, but we're reading like what, 50 in a
Yeah.
billing cycle compared to 6,000.
It depends. Again, when we did have some theft of some repeaters, so we had to read those zones. During the snow event, we didn't get some reads, we had to read those areas. So everybody does have the smart meters now, but there's times where we still need to read them or at least double check to make sure the information we're getting is accurate. So it's not necessarily, some of those reads doesn't mean it's read wrong. It just, we'll see that, okay, this is a lot of usage, or this might be just an anomaly, and we have our field staff check that. Instead of just pushing it through and just going, okay, here.
Or the meter's not sending a signal because it didn't have the solar power to run the repeater.
Yeah,
But it used to be, we had 2 full-time meter readers that would go open every meter box and read every single meter to get the consumption for our billing. And now it's, you know, there's always going to be a certain amount of, you know, those work orders go out to the field staff, to the different service areas to verify those reads. But it's a fraction of what it used to be.
Yeah, sure.
Prior to the change to the smart meters, how, like, he's talking about, changing from bi-monthly going back to monthly. How did you guys do it prior when you did a monthly before you went to
Never
bi-monthly?
did it monthly.
It was always
You've
bi-monthly.
never done it monthly? Okay.
To my knowledge, it was always bi-monthly. I don't know.
Not yet.
I didn't know that.
Teach us.
I just became.
We need to teach everybody here how to do that, because sit closer. Every other district in the state is doing it monthly. And
Not every district. There's a lot of districts that do
Anyway,
bi-monthly,
this is
but
silly and we're gonna overcome it. Go
Yeah,
ahead.
it was roughly the 70s when we switched to bi-monthly. I think that was because of the amount of customers. And again, back when we were reading them manually, that took a lot of work. And the same thing, we didn't have the infrastructure to just, you know, ping it and read again. When customer service staff would notice a high read, they'd send out a reread to make sure. And so it was labor intensive to read those manually. It took quite a bit of work. And again, it was really for that quality control, and just instead of just going, okay, that's a high read, let's just bill them. We wanted to make sure there wasn't an issue, or, you know, meters do break and sometimes they don't read. So if we have a lot of zero reads, we'll also send out field staff to check those to make sure the meter is working correctly. So, yeah, and even with the AMI, like I said, I think there'll always be that kind of quality control work, I think, forever. So,
But Roxanne, one of the real purposes, and we're just getting started on this, is what is the best way to do bills? Do we send out a bill once a month? Do we continue to do twice a month? Do we,
No, not twice.
sorry, once every 2 months? Would it be better if people didn't have to pay their sewer bill and it just showed up on the tax rolls? So that's kind of the larger discussion we're really looking at today.
yeah, I mean, here's just the main questions I'm looking for. You know, I think you summed it up perfect. You know, what billing approach is best to serve the community? What can we do on the bill themselves to make anything clearer and more easy to understand? What concerns, you know, should we consider? And then really just that input and, you know, what's the next steps? You know, again, this is really important for me to try to get as much public information and feedback as possible. When we were at the Forest Meadows HOA, we asked that question. I mean, Michael did a good job of saying, hey, what do you guys think? And they didn't really have much of a response. They didn't really have a preference necessarily, but I'm not sure still if everyone realizes that it's truly a bi-monthly. So,
Well, I have something to say before we go on to one of the other topics, but sticking with water bill and billing, I definitely feel it should, and I've been hounded Michael on this, and we actually had a meeting in San Diego earlier this year at the Aqua Conference where we talked about that particular, trying to get that in the monthly, trying to do it monthly, the water bill monthly. I think it'd be huge. If it's not anything else, the things we're discussing here is a perception of CCWD. We would look better in the eyes of the world and everyone who's looking at us if we didn't have those huge bills, and that would get rid of that. And if the one thing is, if the biggest thing is the external part of truing up the bill, I'd like to find a way to get as accurate as we can and still remain timely. We still have that goal of, and staff has to do that. We're not going to come up with that here on the dais, or the public's not going to be able to have as much say about how that's done, but it has to be done. It's done everywhere. And staff has to work on it, how to get it as close as what we think it should be, and send the bill out, and then true it up the best way we can by the time the next month rolls around. Or is it a 2-month process? Is it every 2 months and it's trued up that way? So the month before, we give ourselves 2 months to true it up if it takes too long. I mean, something, but that has to be done with the guys outside and you guys here and customer service, and ever since the bill's out finance. So and I think everyone's in a room that can do that. And now that we got all these positions filled, that was the main reason why we weren't really moving forward with this back when, is we did not have the these two gals sitting here, we did not have them, and their positions were empty. And this was going to be tough. And we knew, and before that, we knew Jeff wasn't going to be here for very long. And this is the last thing he wanted on his plate before he left.
Yeah, and one thought is, and I know we're gonna talk through some different ideas. But you know, one way to do it sooner probably than because I think there's some complication with, you know, the true up idea. If we're not precise about billing and truing it up later, I think that's going to create a lot more work for us than we need to, maybe. But one way to do it would be we just bill the base rate monthly and the consumptive charges every other month. So that means you don't get that bill shock of that huge bill every other month. We still do consumptive billing every other month so that you know, admin services and ops have time to make sure it's accurate. But you separate out the base rate. The base rate is just billed every month and the consumptive charge is bi-monthly.
We could
It's
even
just
get
a-
closer,
you know-
closer than that. It just take, on the off month, we could, if there's usually a consumptive rate, if there's a way of reading that this customer always has a consumption rate during this time. And I don't know if our software does something like that to automatically bill add 20% to the consumption or add adult. But anyway, that would be that, if that's the best way staff can do it and it makes it easiest, consumption every other month, that'd be fantastic. Start tomorrow.
You're talking less than 1% of our customers, though. If you're talking 50, right? There's 50 people whose meters have to be read.
Oh, I just threw that number out. I don't know what the
It
average.
varies. I mean,
Yeah, it varies.
it varies, and it is improving.
But it is small.
It's, yes, and it's improving every single billing
Meters do
cycle.
work.
Absolutely. No,
You can read them and the repeaters do work. And that's not a problem. It's this aberration that we deal with and it's a small number.
It may be a few hundred. It depends on the billing cycle.
and it
varies.
depends on the environment that's going on. I mean,
What's going on?
again, we've had some equipment issues that weren't, you know, that just happened, you know, and so they work really well.
Well, in terms of true up, I don't think that's a discussion that needs to go public. That's something kind of practically needs to be figured out by the team here. But whether we go to monthly billing or keep on bi-monthly, I mean, I'm convinced with you that monthly billing is, just from a perception perspective, is going to ultimately help us in the long run. But I wouldn't want to do that without reaching out to people so that we could kind of corroborate that. We may get the same kind of return that we saw up at Forest Meadows. And if that's the case, I think that does give us permission to move forward. It's like, it was really from this, it doesn't matter either way to us is what that was. But the Forest Meadows people also are financially more self-sufficient than some of our other really important customers in other parts of the.
Yeah, and that's where I think the public outreach will help a lot. I mean, is this really just affecting our water and sewer customers who see that, you know, much larger bill than just a water customer? Perhaps some of our water only customers don't have as much of a preference as someone who's getting multiple, you know, and for me, it's not just, you know, doing this isn't just for any kind of perception. It's to actually help our community. And what makes me, you know, I'm intrigued by just helping some of the folks that are on true fixed incomes. You know, there are some people that really, by the end of the month, they're out of money, and a true fixed income budget is difficult. And so I'm looking at it more like really just helping the community make this more manageable, not necessarily perception. Because
Absolutely. I mean, that is the reason that we're bringing this forward
right,
is because of our bills. Our bills aren't going to ever be low in this community. They will never be low. It's too many people. And this exaggerates that problem.
right. And so even if we were to start, you know, and this
Exaggerates and exaggerates. That, I think I combined those two words, but that problem of that big bill, small, regardless of their income, it's just a huge bill that no one ever sees.
yeah,
Even PG&E doesn't get as big as if you have sewer and water and you get a 2 months of each on the same bill. That's the biggest bill you ever see besides your mortgage.
yeah.
And
And that's why this conversation is great to
PG&E is
have.
Not going to get bigger than that.
Yeah, this is great to have this, because I mean, we could even start, I mean, all these are great ideas. We can even start by just simply splitting the sewer and water for now. You know, the sewer could be monthly until we, you know, really fine tune how we want to move forward with the water, you know, and almost do it in a phased approach.
You know, and my comments to that is that's better than nothing, but just barely. Because they're still gonna get they're still gonna get a bill. If we can get them every other month, they're still gonna get, now they get 2 envelopes from CCWD, maybe even in the same week. It just says sewer, this one says water. For those people that are getting it, that's not gonna help that much. So that, if that's an extra step that we spend money on doing, and I think this is worth spending money on because of how it's gonna help and how it's gonna make us look. It might cost us something.
I also worry, not worry is not the right term. I don't think people want to pay 2 bills per month when they can pay one. I mean, they have them clearly separated as a bill, but with one total that you can put on a credit card, send in a check, or rather have to send 2 checks to do 2 separate payments. I think that's important. But that's the kind of thing, I mean, maybe we're talking the things that need to be on the survey that goes out.
Absolutely. I mean, you're right. I mean, we need to have that feedback. We need to find out, you know, what the community would
Just
like.
curious, what did we hear in Forest Meadows? You were there as well. What did we hear as far as, and I can't imagine who the customer is going to be that says, no, I want the biggest bill I can ever get. Give it to me all at once, every 2 months, every other month. Who argued for that?
Well, I think we were met mostly with indifference. People kind of shrugged their shoulders a little bit. And to be fair, you know, it was kind of an ad hoc or, you know, in the moment thing. We didn't really,
At the end
you
of
know,
the
prepare for it. We weren't, I just kind of at the spur of the moment said, hey, I'm going to use y'all as a focus group here real fast. What do you think about this? And so we didn't get a lot of response to it. There are some people who, you know, for them, just the act of paying bills is an inconvenience. And so, yeah, they'd rather have it all and do it as few times as possible. So if that means put it all into one and do it every other month, it's just a, you know, a convenience. That's, you know, so I don't know. It's hard for us. I think that's what this effort's all about, is to gauge what percentage of people that is versus people who would rather have the smaller monthly bill.
Those people are probably on auto pay where they don't want to see the bill. They don't want to pay the bill, and they don't. Whether it comes once a month or every other month, they'd be indifferent to that as well. Most likely. And I think Roxanne has.
Roxanne?
Okay, regarding this topic, and I talked to a lot of ratepayers. A lot of people send me personal messages, you know, private messages on the side from the community forum. And they don't want to hear about anything but why their bill is high. And most of it is the community that are on Social Security, right? And there's a lot in Valley Springs. We have a lot of older people that have been here forever that are struggling. And I've had a few of them come to our meet and greet that they came to, and they got to ask questions. And we didn't get the attendance that RSVP'd, but it was awesome because they got to ask more questions. As far as a true-up bill goes, anybody who has solar and gets a true-up bill at the end of the year, they're pulling their hair out because it's a lot.
That'd be one time. This would be trued up every single month.
Okay. And then I think this is a hard topic because when you talk to people about it getting put in on the taxes,
We're not even at that subject yet. You'll have plenty of time to talk about
I
that.
thought we were talking
No,
about
we're
maybe
talking about-
moving it.
No. We're only talking about making it every other month or once a month. Let's see, that's only on the water bill. We'll get to the sewer bill and the property.
Okay, I was just
tax.
gonna say, you're not gonna make people happy either way, because, you know, there's gonna be people that aren't happy about that and they don't want to pay more
On
in their
water?
taxes.
We're still talking about water?
Yeah, water, like adding
Once a month?
wastewater to the
No,
tax.
nothing on wastewater yet.
Okay, we're on
What
water,
do you think about and what do you think and what do you hear people thinking about
monthly.
monthly billing?
People are asking me, and they must, you know, when is it gonna go to monthly? Because that's coming from a meeting prior, that's the word that was put out. So people are wanting to, you know, would rather pay monthly. But then again, you know,
That's not biggest.
Well, they'd
issue.
probably rather not pay at all, but if they have to.
No, you have to pay. No,
Once-
people know they have to pay.
Once a month is better than,
Once a month is better for the retired community on social security versus paying it all by monthly. You really have to plan, but when you don't have much of a budget to work with, it's hard.
Yeah.
what do you
That's the
prefer?
sense of the board too.
Monthly or every other month, or you don't, you're indifferent?
I mean, no, right now it doesn't affect me personally. You know, it doesn't affect us personally, so, but. it
And I would
does.
say in general, that's kind of the response we got from Fort Meadows was the main questions were what's going into the bill? Why is it so high? And then when the timing came up, it was more like, meh.
We're going to talk about that in the next, the next new business item.
Yeah, and this is great feedback. I mean, anything's on the table in this kind of format. So I mean, this is just that open discussion where we can have this input. This is, step one. This is great.
So. Sorry. Also regarding, you're talking about community input, right? How much influence does the community have in offering their input regarding this topic?
I think it'd help a lot right now if we
I
could
was
show
talking to Jeff, I'm sorry, what?
just how much input the community would have in something like this.
How much influence?
Influence.
Yeah.
Well, I've been asking for it for a couple of years now, and I have no influence on what this place does. So I don't know what kind of influence the entire public would have on it. Not much, probably.
If we came back and there was really strong opinions that shouldn't change, it should be every 2 months, I'd vote in favor of keeping it 2 months. If it was strongly in favor of monthly, I would vote for monthly. If it was indifferent, I'd probably vote for monthly. It just makes more sense to me.
I agree 100%. So if that's all we're getting is indifferent people, they really don't care, it really doesn't affect them, doesn't bother them. And then those people that it affects hugely, because number one, they're not used to budgeting. They don't do good at budgets, might be number one. And number two, it's just such a big bill. It comes in 1 month. They're not going to think about paying part of it in the previous month when they don't get a bill.
And we have so many different customers. We have some customers that are wastewater only. They don't get a water bill from us. And some of those wastewater customers are in a disadvantaged community. We have wastewater and water, and we also have water customers. So me personally, I would like to hear from those different customer classes to find the preferences within those classes. Somebody who's just one of our sewer only customers won't have any opinion on whether or not we true up with your water consumption or whatnot. They get a big bi-monthly sewer bill. They would like to get monthly. So it'd be nice to really find out just more public outreach for this. So we have some data and some information to make
Do we
these.
have a survey that we're planning on sending out with the bill and
I would like to do a survey very much.
for those people that get electronic or get it sent via email, we could probably put a paper copy in that. But the people that pay with their credit card, is there a way of electronically communicating with them, or is there a survey so we catch everybody?
Yeah, I mean, we can make a survey simple. I mean, we can do a QR code
And the
and
survey's simple, that's
Yeah.
fine, 4 or 5 questions, simple,
Right.
but how we get it to everybody is going to be a little bit different.
we could put it on the bill easily. Like
Oh.
you said, we can do that. We can put it on the back of the bill. The back of the bill has a whole wealth of locations for different things like that.
Okay,
Our social posts, we could also do an insert on the bill. There's several different ways we can get
Okay.
this information out there.
I vote for that.
And we can throw it on Nextdoor and just have hundreds of people take a stab at it.
And it should be,
You think next door?
it should be simple.
Agreed. Yeah, very basic for now. Yeah.
Should our bills be monthly or bi-monthly? If it's just that.
That's,
Not everybody reads. You can have a sign, I've had this happen, you can have a sign on your station, okay, I'm a salon owner. And they don't read. Not everybody reads. If you send out an email, oh, I didn't see the email, I didn't get the email. I think publicly hold an event, put it out on, I have the biggest influence on Nextdoor. And I'm willing to work with Kelly and we talked about this. We can pull together a community event. I'm willing to put it together myself to get the room full as many people as we can so that we can get the public's feedback, which is what my meet and greets were for in the first place. But it's really hard to get people to attend.
What was in the first place?
Meet and greets?
Say it again?
I had a community meet and greet
Oh, meet and greet. Got
for
it. Sorry.
CCWD
No,
ratepayers.
no, I remember those, yeah.
Yeah. So they worked great. The second one was, they did an amazing job, all of them. I was super happy with it. People left.
It was reported out. It was we did hear very good things.
Yeah, it was, the feedback was awesome, but we just need more people to attend. It's no different than putting something in a bill and nobody reads it. We're putting it on the website, no one goes to the website, right? So we use other influences, and social media is a lot bigger than putting something on the bill.
Okay, so definitely,
That's just my input.
definitely social media.
But I think if we're doing a survey, it's going to be all the above. And,
Yeah,
and
that's right.
especially when we're meeting with people one-on-one, that's the best way to do it is, you know, Kelly can put a QR code up on the screen and people can sit there while we're there talking to them and pull it up on their phone. So it's, you know, it definitely just would be as widespread as we can make it. And
We might get repetitive answers from the same people, but I don't think that's a big problem. I don't think people are gonna be trying to do that.
you vote often,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Well, that means just they're really passionate about the outcome, and then that's.
Yeah, right.
So it should be given more weight.
Okay, so we'll go forward with the survey to everyone and we'll try and do public outreach and promise Roxanne will work with her to come down and do your
But what
community.
I'm hearing before we leave this, I'm hearing monthly is better than bi-monthly from the group that we have here, including us up here for both water and wastewater. Regardless, monthly is better than bi-monthly.
Just depend on who your focus is on. If your focus today is on the retired community on social security that are hurting the most, then I would say we do what's best for them.
So I'm gonna say we're focused on what we're gonna be doing in the future to benefit every customer that there is and have to live with it. And I think that would affect people more positively. Keeping it the same would affect people more negatively, and at least changing it would make it positive for a group of people.
Well, I still feel if, you know, my opinion is still to do more of a phased approach and look into splitting the sewer and water first. That would be my opinion. I feel like the most of the people that I talk to that really struggle or have the adverse reaction to our bills are the water and sewer customers. I haven't done my own official survey, but I do feel confident that it's not as many of just the water only customers.
Did you see separate payments or one payment for both?
I mean, they can pay it on their account however they like, but I still think that, I mean, they're two very separate services.
Comes in two different envelopes.
Yeah.
Yes, I don't see the big benefit in
It-
that. That's why I said I think it'd be better, but not by much. But
So that could be.
But
one guy.
it would be like, again, by quite a bit. I mean, this is what someone's getting right now,
You're gonna
$5.39.
be receiving it in the same week is where I'm going to. If those customers that you're talking about the monthly, I mean, separating them. And if we're still doing it bi-monthly, separating them and those customers still get the envelope in the mail during the same week. I mean, they get it on Tuesday and Thursday.
Well, I think we're getting ahead of ourselves on when to actually bill it out.
Kelly, you have some, how would that work? I'm sorry.
You say separately? Oh, sorry. Please.
No, okay, when I say separately, Kelly's saying instead of having one piece of paper that comes in the mail, that you have your one page, top is your sewer, and the bottom is your water, and then the $500 total is on the next page. You get two separate envelopes. One has your water bill in it, the other one has your sewer bill in it, but you still might get them. That's what I'm.
Water on one and wastewater on the other, it ends up being the same.
Yeah, that's what I said.
It does, but the perception is that you're getting two separate, we're separating the services completely. So it's as if a different company is sending you a water bill versus a
But it still
wastewater.
looks exactly the same.
Yeah, but I think to Kelly G's point, I think one of the things we hear most, and he hears it more than anybody, is I'm paying $300 a month for water. And even when you say to that person, actually that's bi-monthly and that's water and sewer, they just kind of go, I'm paying $300 a month for water. And so I think that's, where separating it out at least helps, it helps address that confusion, that these are two totally separate services. If you live somewhere else, you might be getting two different bills from two different entities. If you live in Murphy's, you get your water bill from UPUD and you get your sewer bill from MSD.
Okay, so here,
And so that it helps at least it helps address that confusion.
going back to Roxanne's comment that a lot of people don't even read it. And I'm going to guess that they're going to get this one bill and they're going to look at the bottom line total and it says water at the top. And then they get another bill a few days later that says wastewater at the top. A lot of people won't even pay attention to that degree to recognize that one's water, one's sewer. And it's just going to say one says water at the top with a big number and wastewater at the top with a big number. And they don't read. They
Yeah,
just, they
that
know
could
they
be.
got to pay that number. Now they got to pay it twice. So it could have,
That could be, yeah.
yeah, anyway, because I do believe that people don't pay that much attention to things that they don't think they have to.
And this is where we need to find out from the community. And again, I'm not approaching this from a perception standpoint. I look at my own finances and I made sure my car payment is on that second part of the month and my mortgage is the first. So even if we split it up like that, I don't want my mortgage payment and my lease payment on the same paycheck. I mean, I get this same paycheck all the time. I get it, every 2 weeks. And so I split out my own personal bills in that way. Can you imagine if at the first of the month, you get your water bill, and then on the second half of the month, maybe on the 15th or after, you get your sewer bill. I mean, that's still managing your budget. That's still that could still
I
help
hate to see
people.
our staff spending time on that. It would be such an insignificant move. That it would be a move. It would be a good move. But if we're spending time on that, that means we're not spending time on getting it to a monthly basis. We're spending time on separating the water from the wastewater. And I get it. I mean, I've had that conversation internally here as well. But I think if we're not wasting time, because it would be worth something. But, and it may be the start of separating those, might be the start of getting them both monthly at the same time. And if that's possible, then yeah, great.
I just think there's a substantial difference in the sewer and the water as far as for internal staff. I mean, the sewer, there's not usage, there's no true ups, there's no quality control. It's a static bill. It's very simple billing process. And so that's where
But I have no objection to that at all, of separating them. Getting two envelopes. It might be causing a little bit of confusion because of no one's going to be studying their bill and finding out now what's going on. Number one, they didn't read that it's coming. And guess what? In the next 2 months, you're gonna start seeing this.
yeah.
If you get water and wastewater, and if they didn't read that and now they all of a sudden get two bills, that's gonna be a little bit confusing too. We will get calls.
Yeah, and this will be a huge public outreach effort. No matter what scenario we do, I mean, unless we stay the same, but if we make any changes like this, something that's been in place for so long, it would take a substantial amount of public outreach. We would have to really, communicate that. So, I mean, I feel like that's no matter what we do, that will be a requirement.
I think we should kind of move forward now. So, but are we at a point where we know we're going to do some public outreach and Roxanne's going to help us facilitate at least one major one? We're going to go ahead with a survey, right?
Yeah,
Correct.
Yeah, if you guys would like, I'll make a survey and then we can at least report on the results at the next meeting. I mean, I love the idea of a survey. I want to do it right away.
I'd be very willing just to take a look at it. I don't know, a proposed one, if you'd be willing, if that's okay with
We
you.
got a 5-question one we can do right now really quick and on the QR code, but I had it ready in my back pocket just in case.
Really? Yeah, let's take a
But-
look at it. Well, let's wait. You have some other things you want to talk
Yeah.
about.
But we definitely have to talk about the sewer bill on the tax roll before we leave this agenda item.
And that would be one of the questions that go on the questionnaire. That's why I'm turned.
And that will be discussed further. That goes beyond this. The scope of this is really just getting the public input to really find out, the preference, that this isn't really the logistics or the actual cost. This is really just that public input part of this.
Would it make sense then for you to pop that up on the screen and we take a look at it now?
It's totally up to you guys. It's just a real five.
Yeah,
Fine.
Cheers. Ask.
Let's take a look at it, Kelly.
Okay. You gotta get your phones ready. You guys, it's gonna be live. Yeah, I'll take the survey.
I can jump on here.
Going live.
Wait, where's our QR code? Oh, well, that would explain things.
I mean, we kind of talked about it, but I didn't think you guys would really want to do it. So I was,
Bad idea. Michael or Kelly has done a draft questionnaire. We're gonna
draft survey. Yes.
draft survey.
All right. Can you go to full screen? Like that little the arrows? Yeah, just go ahead and, oh, does it not go up? Okay. Can you guys just scan that QR code? There's only 5 questions. Of course. The results there are I already did mine. So I already have my preference. I'm a customer too, and I filled mine out. Yep. Either one. All feedback is good feedback. So unfortunately for live, like I said, there's only 5 questions. Once you submit, all the results will pop up. Could have put music to it. Elevator music.
Jeopardy theme song, yeah.
I left it to where you can put as many answers, just in case. And I feel like the final survey should be more in depth than this. This was just, like I said, a real just quick one just for the purpose of this meeting. And it's all anonymous, just so everyone knows. Did everyone fill it out? Michael, you still going?
Well, now it's
Or
not
you-
anonymous. Thanks. Jeez. Yes, I submitted mine 5 minutes ago.
Okay, so then now, if. Wait till he puts his phone down, just in case.
What are you doing now? Changing your answers? You don't like those percentages?
Well, we can kind of skip through them if you want. Now we can go through and see the results of the questions. And again, this at least could give us
Michael,
some.
10 more minutes. It'll be done.
I'd like to see one on there that's just real simple. Do you like your bill bi-monthly or monthly? That's, I mean, instead of, this is a lot of reading. And a lot of reading and a lot of understanding the long question. But do you want your CCWD bill monthly or bi-monthly?
Okay.
I mean, one or the other. Let them choose. How would you like to see your bills going forward? That's what we're really trying to, and that's a very simple question. And then make the answer very simple. One box or the other. They can continue getting it bi-monthly or monthly. And then do the same thing with sewer.
I'm with that. And yeah, and would you like your sewage bill put on the tax roll so you don't have to?
That's again, yes or no. But
You
we're
don't
gonna
like that,
talk about that can of worms here in a second before we go on
All
to.
right, we'll scan through the results real quick, but that's good feedback. Yes, I agree. We should make them very concise,
And if
very
it's those
simple.
3 questions, those are, because there's 3 items on here we're discussing. Monthly water, monthly wastewater, and tax roll. Those are 3 things. If we just have 3 simple questions, we'll get a lot more concise feedback, I think.
Looks like monthly billings in the lead.
Okay, let's start that process then tomorrow.
That'll be on the finance.
Bring it to the
committee.
full board. We could probably have it passed.
So this is a start, you know, I mean, we can move forward with this. I think I have clear direction to put something together. I'd like to do that soon, so we have something to report back to this committee, or do you want this coming back to the full board? Or would you like to come to the committee first?
Well, I think we're gonna, well,
I don't want to wait.
I don't think we need to bring it back. You mean in terms of to approve and send out? I think we have good feedback here. Let's simplify it a little bit and let's
No.
get it out.
what
Yeah,
about the survey?
no.
You're talking about the survey or just to start monthly billing?
Oh, sorry.
No.
You're just talking about
The
survey.
results of the survey. I'm not gonna wait. I think we'll get the survey out
Yeah,
soon, but then these types of results, once we have some more feedback, would you like the results brought
my
back
only
to the
feedback,
committee?
yeah, the results, we don't need to talk about the survey questions again, but if you have a real short question and two options for your answer, if you can make it, that's that simple, people
Okay.
will do it, and it really will be less than 3 minutes, minute and a half time spent on 3 questions and on those monthly bill, sewer monthly or bi-monthly, water monthly or bi-monthly, and your sewer bill on the tax rolls, yes or no. I mean, that's what we're really trying to find, get to the
Perfect.
bottom of, and there's no other, I mean, if you, with all those questions there, you can have a lot of data and feed it to AI and get a lot of different stuff out of it, but I don't think that's what we really need to do right now.
Okay.
We want numbers. We want people responding to it. I think that's the shortest survey. I get surveys every day. And I ignore most of them. If some of them really are 3 minutes or less, I'll do them. But they just don't end up being that way, and I just scrap it.
Okay.
So Michael, this kind of falls into your purview, but would you object to if you do a draft of this, you send it to Scott and me, and then we'll just, thumbs up, thumbs down, maybe make a suggestion before we send out the survey?
Before the survey goes out? Yeah, we could do
Sure.
that.
I'd love to see it. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll work on that right away.
And yeah, internally, we can throw that around. I don't even care if that goes externally. I mean, that, the people in the room, that I wouldn't mind getting feedback from everybody.
We'll get it going.
Good. All right.
Text, let's do that before we go into your video. The Jeff
Is-
Robertson,
Is there any feedback from anybody online for this, since it's kind of a workshop? Any,
Just staff online.
thought I saw one other.
you want to highlight the sewer bill on the tax roll and how that would work? And then we'll
I'd-
have a quick discussion on it now.
I'm not prepared for the details of that for this discussion. Again, this was focused more on just that initial public outreach to gather input. If people would even
This-
consider that.
Yeah, so we're gonna
Survey
give.
We'll include that tax roll, sewer bill on the tax roll, yes or no?
There was an option on there. It was one of the longer ones,
Right.
but I can add a specific question to that.
Yes or no? Should we put the sewer bill, should CCWD put the sewer bill on the tax roll?
Yeah.
Add it
Okay.
to your property tax.
Right.
On the survey, we'll get yes or no.
Roxanne, sorry, we need your.
It captures it so much better for later.
Adding the sewer bill to the taxes, I mean, if the purpose of this as well is to try and lower the monthly costs, then I would think putting it on the tax roll, because I lived in a different area before and our stuff was put on the tax roll and you don't even pay attention to it. So I think that's something that you should really think about. It would lessen the bill for people. That and going to monthly, it would be such a win with the ratepayers that you guys would
I'm so
have a little
glad,
more redemption.
I'm so glad to have you on my team.
Yeah, we agree with you.
I
The
don't
only
need to
issue.
say- I don't need to say anything else. That's exactly how I feel, and it will affect those lower income people. It will affect them the most. It will benefit them the most. Not for several different reasons. Not only, number one, they don't own, a lot of them don't, and it's not, and then their landlord is gonna have to deal with it. It might show up in their rents, but rents aren't based on bills.
Yeah.
Rents are based on supply and demand purely. And so people will say, oh, they'll just divide it up and give it. No, they won't. They can't. It's impossible to do that if you want to, your rent, your tenancy, it'll be one more bill for the landlord. And then the other thing to help, if you're a homeowner, it'll also be in your impound account. You'll be paying it, divided it up monthly anyway. And your escrow, your mortgage company will divide it up for you and add it to your impound account. And well, you'll be paying your property insurance, your tax bill, and your property taxes all be included in your monthly mortgage payment. It goes away. And again, I say the word perception, Kelly, you jumped on that word a couple times, but how CCWD is perceived right now is we're cheating and stealing from a lot of low income people. And that perception is wrong, but it will go away if we do this. Anyway.
Right, what I was gonna say.
So I think just to bring it back, because we're really just, we're gonna do get into the details. We'll do a presentation on sewer bills on the tax roll at the next board meeting. This item, we really wanted to focus on the public outreach. How do we get input from the public on these issues? And then we'll bring it back again to present results, but then also to talk about whichever direction the board chooses to go in. How do we roll that out and make sure that everybody's informed? So, but this item really was mainly focused on how do we get input from people on preferences.
All right. Thank you.
You.
The next item is a request that I've made a couple of times, and that we constantly get the question, why are our rates so high, or complaints about our rates? And I think we could make a short, clear video. And I've made a list of some things. I have some great suggestions from Francisco de la Cruz that we should consider and making it. And I don't know how you'd like this, Kelly. I guess we're turning this over to Michael and you. But I'd welcome your feedback on what we should do.
I got an idea.
Go ahead.
The first three slides should be, the question is again, how do we make our?
It's why are our rates what they are? Why,
Yeah.
If the first slide was just go to monthly billing on the water bill, and the second slide would be, let's go to monthly billing on the wastewater bill. And the third slide should be, let's put our entire sewer bill on the property tax.
I can have
And
any of that on the video. That's not going on the
then
video.
the bill won't look so high.
So really, I think what Director Robertson is getting at is, Kelly, as you all have seen, does a great job when we do town halls, or whether it's here, board meetings or not, kind of giving a presentation on what why costs are so high, infrastructure costs in particular, but all that CCWD does. And sometimes, we've had offline conversations about, the negative perception of CCWD that's out there. Really is just people so focused on the bill and not associating the bill with all of the value that CCWD provides. And I think Kelly does a really good job of articulating that in the presentations. So if I'm understanding you, and I want to make sure I am understanding you correctly, Director Robertson, the thought here would be to condense that, because when Kelly gives those presentations and we have those one-on-one conversations or small meet and greets with groups of people, even if people there are still frustrated about the bill amount, we tend to get a lot of understanding, a lot of people going, oh, okay, I get it. And it doesn't mean they're going to be happy about the bill, but at least there's a lot more acknowledgement and understanding of what CCWD does. And so I think that's what you're getting at, is can we condense that into a short video that drives kind of that point home? Is that accurate?
That's accurate. Yeah. And we've got a lot. I mean, we even saw this up in Forest Meadows after Kelly's presentation. Well, there were some people who were still upset about how high the rates were. There are others who I can't say they felt like it was a deal, but were much more understanding. I think if we get the information out there in a clear, concise way that it's something Roxanne could pull up if she's got a community meeting and say, look, here's the CCWD view on this. And I think it should be a video. Yes, you can have a number of slides within a video, but it would have perhaps interviews with you, Damon, maybe Kevin, when you talk a little bit about engineering. And but I've got a number of things that I'd like to see put into it if you don't mind, if we can use that
Please,
now.
yeah, no,
Yeah.
absolutely.
I mean, the first thing is the size and complexity of our system. We talk about it and maybe even talk about it in relation to a place like the Bay Area where they've got, 100 people for every mile of pipeline, where we have one person for every mile. But, things like aging infrastructure, things like improper bedding of pipes that happened 30 years ago, things like corrosive soils that have degraded lines that have to be replaced. I think would be really interesting if we, in terms of talking about the importance of preventative maintenance, that if we had an example of when a project came to the greater board or to the GM, should we fix this leaky pipe here now or leave it? And then there was a major rupture. The point being that by waiting, it ended up costing the customer so much more. If we had an example like that, and I imagine we would have one, to just have a snippet of that would be worthwhile. Compare our costs to other foothill communities, because the one slide you presented once showed that we're not the highest for water. And if people can see that everybody else in Amador and Tuolumne are paying the same amount, or even UPUD are paying the same amount or more, I think that would alleviate some of the tension, that we're not out of line. People just, from what I've seen, and actually when I came on the board, I thought, God, this is ridiculous to expect people to be spending this amount of money, especially people who are on Social Security, small Social Security at $1,200 to $1,500 a month. Share some of our success subjects. One of the things on the capital improvement projects, when you guys showed these list of urgent projects that we cannot do because we can't afford to do them, but if one of those goes wrong, it's going to really bite us in the rear end later. I don't know whether that belongs, sometimes less is more, so we got to be careful about that. And then talk about the great job we've done with getting funding. One other final point would be that the number of regulations that have been put upon us by the state and how that affects us. And then maybe something in there about what ratepayers can help us do. Does it mean writing to your congressman or state senator to look for things like low-income assistance or continued assistance for infrastructure? And let me go through a couple of things that I really appreciate that Francisco wrote this in. He said, please explain the why and now what. Ratepayers hear about rate increases, capital projects, reserve balances, water losses, staffing challenge. What is often missed is a simple explanation of what actions are being taken, what outcomes are expected, and how success will be measured. I think that's good. Why is this?
Real quick, one thing he hasn't said is that we have six different water plants separated and 12 different wastewater plants, and not in most other communities don't have to have and support that many operators as we do at the same exact time, and the education that they receive. But a good list.
Use plain language, short videos, graphics, one-page summaries. Show progress, not just plans. Ratepayers are more likely to support investments when they can see measurable results. We can do that. We've got a lot of good stories to tell. Create opportunities for dialogue. I think we're trying to do this: periodic town halls, workshop, facilitated discussions. I'll tell you, as a board member, this is a good example. You came in here once and filled this room, which was terrific. The next time we did it, there was almost nobody. People there's Yeah. We're very willing to do occasional evening ones based on your your feedback. And finally, he says, focus on trust. In my experience, people are generally willing to support difficult decisions when they understand the reasons behind them. And that's really the purpose of the video. He says a few other really good things, no separate points. He just elaborates on some of those. If you'd like, I can send some of that stuff to you if you want. But I'd like to the extent appropriate, I think just.
I thought we were going to see the video today.
No.
Well, I have one queued up, right? No, just kidding.
But do you have any thoughts of how would you see it being done differently, Kelly? You're the expert on this.
No, I think that's great feedback. I think it's a great idea. One thing that comes to mind too, when I first took this position, I did several little videos and that got kind of, people, there's also that perception if we're talking about perceived, and I know Director Adam, and you remember this when they thought we were a Hollywood production company and using a lot of ratepayer money to create these videos. So there's a balance for both. I'm on the side of continually educating people and showing them. You guys mentioned the 6 different systems. You notice in the town hall that I did, and I'm going to talk about it in my report, is I dove even deeper into that. Because one thing I've noticed is when you go to a place like Forest Meadows, the center of the CCWD universe is Forest Meadows. They don't know about West Point, Wallace, Sheep Ranch, Copperopolis, Irons, Indian Rock. They don't know about these places. They think that's just the center. And so it's good to communicate the breadth of CCWD. So videos like that, constant outreach it's invaluable. So I think it's a great idea.
Yes, please.
No, I'm one who believes that education is really powerful. And when they came to the meet and greet in March, I always push respectful dialogue, even in my posts on social media. I look for respectful, not attacking each other. And for the most part, I think people respect that because that's what I put out. So when they came, that's what I put out. People are like coming in, they want guns blazing, and it's like, no, that's not what this is for. And if that's what you're here for, then you need to leave. But it was very respectful. They did an amazing job. He did an amazing job explaining the rates and why the rates are what they are. And I have videos of everything. They had the undivided attention of the entire room. You could hear a pin drop. And when he was done, people were like, wow, that makes sense. So what you don't know until you do know it. Yes, you may not like the bill, but him explaining it firsthand and answering the questions the way that he did, which I really appreciated. Everybody left. The emails I got after, the positive that I got back was worth it. And it was better than the constant negative that I deal with. Since I started doing this, it's like, holy moly, what did I start? What did I get myself into? So I think doing this is going to show the community that you do care because, the perception is completely different and you're not going to appease everybody. And not everybody's going to see the videos. I think you guys need to make a position for me. So the 2 of us would be a powerhouse together. But I love this topic of discussion and it's something I can take.
How long should it be? How long was Michael's? Because losing the attention also is something so how long of a video would when
you take to Instagram and you see the stories, the short stories, the reason for the shortness is to capture people's attention because people don't have the attention span. So like you said, you're not going to read a survey unless it's short. So it needs to be short, sweet, to the point.
What is that number?
Believe it or not, sometimes it's seconds. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's seconds.
But it could be a series. It doesn't have to be just.
Okay.
Yes, and
That's another good, there you go.
that's something I struggle
I
with
think
too.
it does have to be very short. Yeah.
It does have to be short, but again, how do you compile 6 different systems and all the things you mentioned into 30 seconds? So it has to be strategic. And sometimes, again, I'm jumping ahead, but I made it very clear for the town hall in Forest Meadows, I said, look, I'd like at least an hour for the presentation, and then we'll open up to questions and answers. My presentation was about an hour. We were there for 2.5 hours. But not because it went on too long, because there's that much information and we read the crowd. The crowd was fine with that.
Meeting in the Valley Springs area. How long, they say it was about 2.5 hours spent with the Forest Meadows people recently. How long was the meet and greet? The successful
6
meet
to
and greet?
9.
Was it a total of 3 hours? Everyone sat there
We
for
had-
3 hours?
But it could have went longer. We had a hard stop because of the
We had to
rental.
leave, yeah.
It could have.
People come up and ask
wanted to-
questions after
Yeah.
that even, and I don't think, I don't think a video can replace that. I think it's both.
Agreed.
Because the one of the things that we really benefit from in those town hall meetings and why we really appreciated the meet and greet is it gives us a chance for that personal interaction and for people to realize that, we're real people doing the best we can for CCWD. So it doesn't replace that personal interaction necessarily, but it could go a long ways in education. And maybe it's a 15-minute video, but we do it in a way that can be broken up into 2-minute, where you can share a part of it at a time. Because to hit all those points, which I agree with all of them, I think they're all really great suggestions, but to hit all of them would be a longer video.
What would you like to see?
Well, originally I was thinking 10 minutes, but after listening to you two about the 90 seconds on Instagram, I like the thought of breaking it out, but somehow we got to be able to convey we're doing the best we can and that these rates are reasonable within 90 seconds. And then having other things, and this would be something that would be on the website that somebody could click and watch, I assume.
Yeah.
Should be
And on
useful.
YouTube.
Yeah. And we have a YouTube channel. We have some of
Yeah.
the presentations and the stuff we've done already on there. You can take a look, but I think it's a great idea and I'll definitely get on it right away.
Good. And then short interviews, maybe those would break out. Damon on the maintenance and
Absolutely.
whenever you can tell a story, people like to listen to stories. So like I said, are you aware of something that we didn't do that backfired on us and cost us more later because we didn't do it when we should have in the history of CCWD?
Well, I think an example that I frequently give, and I can't remember where I was just talking about this recently. Oh,
It wouldn't even have to be us,
in a
actually.
meeting- In a meeting last week, is not necessarily backfired on us, but just the cost of delay. Is, I use the West Point Wilseyville consolidation as an example a lot, is where CCWD first applied for that grant in 2014. I think it was a $3 or $4 million project. And because of a series of delays, not all of them CCWD's fault, but just the process, the project didn't actually go out to bid until it was 22 or 23. And the engineer's estimate when the project went out to bid was, I think, 4.7 million. The low bid was 9 million.
And think,
Total project
good-
cost ended up being $10 million.
that didn't cost us anything though.
It was still, yeah, it's a grant
cost
funded
the state.
project, but the
100% grant.
point is,
The delay,
the
yeah.
point is that the delay cost money, even if it didn't fail in those intervening years, and there could have been other consequences. But even just the cost of delay, it went from a $3 or $4 million project to a $10 million project.
And it might be said at this point that the thing that solved it was raising rates. That was the only thing that was gonna. solve it.
That was
We
one of the
need
big
more money to
delays was
wastewater.
the water board wouldn't give us.
We
the
had to
grant
wait,
till
we had to wait
raised
for a
rates.
cost of service study. We had to wait for that to pass and 5 years. And then we had to collect the friggin' money. I'm sorry. We had to collect the money to get to even, and it was 100% funded.
But I'm sure we can come up with other examples.
That actually cost us. That actually cost our pocketbook. But that is a good one.
I recall our conversation when you and Mr. Robertson and me and Francisco and Mr. Davidson met. And the comment that he dropped was back in the day, they made mistakes when they didn't raise the rates. And so he did allude that it does go back. You know what I mean? And I think that's something people need to understand too, is decisions that were made long in the past affect where we are today. It's just my input.
Saw that in the video.
Or
All right. Any other comments on that subject? Thank you. Let's move on to external affairs report.
Feel like I've been given the report already.
There's more?
This is short, like maybe hour and 20 minutes. I don't know. Hour and a half.
What were you saying about
Yeah,
Instagram?
no, I'm trying to keep it quick.
90 seconds.
Always a good shot of Spicer up there. Yes, so this is my external affairs report for June 15th, 2026. I'm going to start, I did mention this briefly at the legal affairs, but on June 3rd, I was invited to a Central Valley Incident Management Team training down in Modesto. And basically, they somewhat reenacted the Darby fire. So on June 3rd, a fire started. It was called the Powerhouse Fire. It was just upstream from the Collierville Powerhouse, and then started to go up this very similar path as the 2001 Darby fire. And at the Modesto Center, what happened was once the TCU Incident Command took over the scene, they broke it up, and there was the operations command, there was the PIO command and the liaison section. There was all the folks who were getting ready for, where all the personnel are going to be staged and fed and all that. So this was really truly reenacting this, and it was an honor to be there and just really kind of almost relive that Darby fire. I mean, I just started working here when that Darby fire kicked off, so I was asked also to give the operations a scenario, because there was injects throughout this day where there was real life scenarios. And I said, well, what scenario would you like? And he's like, well, I don't know what happened during the Darby fire. And I said, okay, well, I can remember a few of the leaks that impacted it. And one was a leak in Forest Meadows, because they were on the backside of that ridge in Forest Meadows fighting that fire using much of our infrastructure. We were seeing a definite demand on the infrastructure. And not only that picture right there is, after the flume had burned, we were also, rationing water to try to get water down to Murphy's and stuff. So the scenario I used was, what road was that? On Snowberry Court, and this was a real life scenario, was, they blew a main. And actually what happened was when we came around the corner to make that repair, is a fire truck. It had, when the main broke, it had actually washed out all the road base, and that fire truck had settled maybe 12 to 18 inches because the road just kind of went dunk. But regardless, at that time, we had to communicate with Incident Command that, hey, right now we have a main line break in there. We can't get in there and make the repair. And so you'll have to, make some other provisions for water. So we use that scenario, and it was really neat. There was briefings throughout the day. It was very accelerated. It was a several day fire condensed into a 1-day training, but it was a really, really great opportunity to do that.
Why it didn't, you look at that photo,
Yeah.
that hill is just steep, but it didn't jump over into the trees, which would have been a real disaster had those, moved to a crown fire and moved right on up to Forest Meadows. How did they stop that? Have any idea?
I don't know the exact tactics they used.
Got a road there. That was a fire.
Yeah, they could probably get to it. And again, this is well afterwards. That line on top is the pipeline that bypassed the burned flume. So this picture was taken, well after the fire. I think we talked a little bit about the Forest Meadows HOA, but again, I think that it's just an invaluable event. It did go on for a long time, but I think I tried a different approach that time. And usually we have one slide that kind of says all of our infrastructure, how many tanks we have, how many pump stations, but that I allotted 2 slides for every service area to really just try to educate on the differences in CCWD and how diverse we are. There's not a lot of agencies, especially local agencies, that have this many water treatment plants, that have this many wastewater facilities, that get its source water from 4 different sources. It's quite unique. So I try to always communicate that, because I think that's what goes into what makes CCWD unique. And again, that was a 2.5-hour meeting, and it went on even after you guys left. There was a line of people that continue to talk, and I'll stay there till the end. I think it's great, because those one-on-one conversations to me are just absolutely the best. You obviously touched someone during that event or communicated something, and they want to talk to you more about that. I love that. And it's also nice to communicate something and watch heads start to go, oh, like a light bulb went off.
That's your photo?
Maybe. And so this is one I've used quite a bit. It kind of talks about the service areas. I have reported this one before, but I do like it because it really shows how diverse we are, starting there in San Andreas, up to our West Point and Wilseyville area. We got about 25 miles and about a 45-minute drive. Down also 25 miles of Copper. 18 miles, 25-minute drive down to our Jenny Lind facilities, Ebbets Pass.
Off to the left, is that I-5 and 99?
Yeah,
Is that mapped to scale?
yeah,
Really?
perfectly to scale.
It takes that, I mean, the space between Ebbets Pass up there and,
Yes, this is precisely to
Huh.
scale.
I mean, this is, okay.
Yeah, and so, you can't forget about little Sheep Ranch. You can go either way to get to Sheep Ranch. Both ways are windy and take forever. And then also we've got Southworth down there in the corner. I don't know why, but for whatever reason, I feel like many of these events, we get compared to Stockton. It seems to be all the time. I'm not sure why we compare ourselves to Stockton, or many folks compare us to Stockton, but what I did here is I outlined Stockton, and then I placed Stockton right there over San Andreas to kind of give that perspective. And again, what I've said before is I don't advocate for bringing any parts of Stockton into Calaveras County. This is just for this. But I think what this shows is just that, we constantly talk about our economy of scale. And so what does that mean? We've used this before as well. Some of these other larger areas like the city of Stockton with 5,723 customers per square mile. And I know there's always talk about that. Some people disagree that it should be per, how many customers per foot of pipe. Fine, but as you saw in our area, we're not just a consolidated area. We've got jurisdiction that goes throughout the county. We've got operators, mechanics, electricians making those drives. So it's not necessarily just customers per square mile, per feet of pipe. It's also per square mileage of coverage. And so quite a difference there with our population density, with our water customers being at about 334 customers per square miles. And that's just the 40 square miles that are each individual service area. If you take our whole jurisdiction there at the bottom with that 1,037, we got about 13 water customers per square mile. Take the sewer customers, we're looking at 125. Big difference from us and somebody say like Stockton, where you're in this consolidated area, you forget a part or you got to go back to the shop. It's a much smaller drive, as I showed you earlier. This is something that I'm really excited on. I've been working on this for a while. I got my foot in the door for the Arnold Library first. And so on July 9th, I will be going to the Arnold Library. I met with the board the other day and they gave me a ton of questions like, what do you want to do? What are you just trying to accomplish? And I said, I just want to talk about your water and your sewer. I want to be able to show these presentations. I want to be able to show what the difference is and just be there available for questions. I want to be there when someone asks why my water bill is so high. Because again, those conversations one-on-one like that is great. One of the board members, I think I warmed them up. They started to like it. One of them suggested we call it Coffee with Kelly. I thought that was pretty cool. I don't think they're going to call it that, but I think that's.
Spell coffee with a K.
We could.
Something there.
How else do you spell it? It's not with a K. Oh. So this is kind of that trial run. This will be in Arnold, but some of the board members on that one are also on the board member for the whole county.
My water bill so high, answer them with, it's because we bill every other month. If we billed once a month, it wouldn't look as big as it is.
I will tell them that. But
Answer that.
yeah, when I mentioned that to them, a lot of them shook their heads, and just again, being available there to have that conversation. I don't mind when someone comes up and asks me that question. I get that question all the time, and that's fine. It's a very, very valid question. So hopefully that leans into something else, and hopefully I can get my objective is to get on all the I'd like to get into the libraries throughout the entire county, just again for just that.
Who should, is it the library staff that's going to show up to this that voted? You said the board did, but who's going to? They're like inviting all their customers?
Yeah, they're going to help with this flyer. I made the flyer. We're going to put it out and just try to see who we can get. They have story time events. They have different events, so they're going to share this too. They're going to provide the coffee, and it's just going to be there, just kind of like a meet and greet, but at the library. I will have some of the presentations available to communicate these different items, and then again, just really be there for that one-on-one. At last meeting, I kind of gave you guys a snapshot of the calendar. And so here's what's coming up for me. Tonight, we have White Pines Park Committee. Looking forward to that. The last meeting, I was supposed to give a presentation on, they wanted the same presentation that I gave to the Historical Society, but they didn't have a quorum the last meeting. So tonight, hopefully I'll have a chance to give that. That was at their request because again, that meeting really talked about the Calaveras watershed, which we all know White Pines sits right at the top. Tomorrow, I've got another, the Aqua Protect Our Affordability Work Group. That's meeting every 2 weeks. I'm really enjoying that. I think that's a good work group. We're still at the beginning stages. We've only had one meeting, but we'll be doing that for a while. The Calaveras Watershed Committee. Don't forget also, we've got on July 15th, the CSDA Calaveras chapter. That's going to be right here. I think that's a great meeting. Of course, then Epoch and the Arnold Library. And then I was invited to the Independence Hall Flea Market from one of these, they have options for different tables too. So it's free for a nonprofit. So I said, sure. I was invited. I thought I'll set up a table at the flea market, maybe talk water, get some stuff.
What time CSDA?
CSD, I believe, is 1 o'clock. The agenda should be, the agenda will be going out probably pretty soon. But I highly recommend going to the CSDA Calaveras chapter. Last time we had the room full, so hopefully we have it full again this time. The California Special Districts Association.
Yes.
And it's just, this is only our second meeting, Calaveras.
Who's president of that?
Jessica still. Everyone can go. Yeah, Mike Rogers goes because he's on the board for it's open to the public. It's all special districts. So, I mean, you'll have all different, not just water agencies, you'll have fire agencies, you'll have the healthcare, you'll have cemeteries, all special districts in Calaveras County are part of it. We've reported on this unified vision for California's water. I've been posting these. One thing I really like about this is this format, being on the communication committee. One thing we brought to the communication committee is how do we make this more specific to our region, so that what was born out of the communication committee is this template that all the agencies can kind of just put their own videos in. So it's our own backyard infrastructure and watersheds, but it still has that that is, yeah. And then that's it. That's a short report, but I do want to make sure I say thank you to this is a thank you to everyone who stays after all these events. I've had so many, I think the most productive conversations after. Same thing with the board meeting, even just the last board meeting when Roxanne and Dan stayed after. We went to the conference room over there. I pulled up his usage and was able to just talk him through it, tell him all about the portal and try to get to the bottom of this, And so I think I can't say enough about those conversations that happen after the meeting. Same thing with the Forest Meadows. Several people stayed after to talk longer. And so this happens all the time, happens at Firewise events. It happens at just virtually every meeting we go to. And so I just want to say thank you to everyone who sticks around and wants to learn more and wants to have a conversation about all these wonderful things that makes the water and wastewater work. That's it.
Thank you.
Kelly. Michael.
I don't have anything to add. Great job, Kelly. I gave my report last week and I'll give another one next week. So I don't have anything to add specific to this, but just in the future, I think we had moved the customer service report to the full board, but we'll be working on what the best way to do that is going forward and when we restart those customer service reports. No, other than that, great job, Kelly. And thank you, Roxanne.
Roxanne, please. You can have two if you like.
When Kelly and I stayed last week and we had the conversation with a ratepayer that showed up, it's for him, I think he learned, instead of blaming CCWD and the meter, which I don't really know if we know clarification, but Kelly took the time to show him his usage and his water bill on the portal because he didn't even know that you could go on there and sign up. It explained that, okay, maybe it is your water usage and not the meter and then not a CCWD thing. And I know it changed his perception. So when people like that are experiencing things, he came to our January 28th meeting that night and he spoke about the meter. And I ran after him when they were leaving to tell them about the meet and greet because I wanted him to come, but he didn't make it. But his perception when he left here last week was very different. Maybe it is my water usage, maybe I do have a problem. So, people tend to want to just put the blame on CCWD and it gets put out there and everybody jumps on that bandwagon. And I think like that conversation, he's going to have a different outlook when he speaks publicly or drops a comment on one of my posts or something like that, that we need more positive influence like that instead of, all the all the stuff that's out there. So thanks to Kelly for doing that and taking that time, because he really left feeling really good. And I appreciate that, Kelly. You're awesome. I can't say any, awesome things about you. Anyway, that's it. That's all I had to. Thank you guys for this. I really appreciate it a lot.
Well, thank you for coming in.
No, thank
Really
you.
appreciate
I'm
it.
glad I made it.
And I was thinking about it. I'd love to create a position for you, but the problem is we'd have to raise rates even more to pay for it. So,
Hey, on Roxanne's comments, that little monitor in the lobby, does customer service use that often with, Kelly, do you use that often? Is that,
private, well, never mind.
No, we do. And one of my
when a
founders,
customer comes in and has those kinds of questions, do we sit at that with them and show them how to?
100%.
Okay,
I have seen our CSRs pull out a chair in there. I mean, one that comes to mind is a customer from West Point who had 4 different accounts, one of them being a renter. And our CSRs worked with her the entire time to get all of her, she didn't want to drive down here anymore to make the payment. She wanted the auto pay. She was fine with it. We helped her get set up, and just watching the CSRs in action was a pleasure. And
Okay.
this customer was very, very pleased.
because it sounds like it was very helpful to that gentleman, and I would think that it would be, if taking the time to teach, instead of doing it for them, taking that time, teach them how to fish instead of giving them fish.
Absolutely.
It was an awesome idea. Thank you. Thank you.
No, truly, I'm grateful for your feedback and for coming in today, Roxanne. It's not that we're struggling. We're trying to do the right thing, and you bring a perspective that's very valuable. Let's move on to director comments. Anything for you to add?
Nothing to report.
I think I've reported enough today myself. Our next committee meeting is set for September 21st at 1 p.m. If there's anything else, I hereby call this meeting adjourned. Thank you.